In early December last year, after Donald Trump won the presidency for a second term, but before he took office, I did a video in response to several comments I was receiving on my YouTube channel outlining what I believe to be a data-driven perspective of what we could expect as EV enthusiasts underneath a Trump presidency. Now that we're into the first 100 days and we have a better perspective of what the new normal is going to be, I thought I'd do a follow-up video on that because now we have the advantage of actually seeing what is transpiring. In my first video, I speculated that should the $7,500 tax credit be removed, we would experience something similar to what occurred in Germany when the subsidies were removed, which was about a 6-month dip of EV sales to the tune of 20%. That doesn't look to be happening here. So, also there's NEVI, this federal program that has benefit to EV charging. And should Trump have been able to immediately end the NEVI program in completion and totally put an end to all NEVI, it would have had some degree of effect, but not a lot. So, and that's not what happened. What happened, there was a little bit of back and forth. They suspended the thing and put it under a microscope and cost analysis, whatnot. But as far as I can tell, judging from posts from professionals on LinkedIn, funds are continuing to be dispersed for anyone who is currently under contract. So the lion's share of the NEVI program will be funded. Some of it won't, but anyway, I'll get to that in just a second. Okay, so for the new normal, there was something very interesting that I found as watching from the bleacher seats of what was occurring in the political sphere. Namely, Elon Musk's rise to prominence underneath the Trump presidency and the associated rhetoric has caused a great deal of consumer backlash towards Tesla, but only in a certain segment of consumers. So the purchasing behavior of Tesla customers is in the process of going through a change. I don't really know what the outcome is going to be. Tesla may get knocked down a notch. They may get pushed up a notch. I don't really know. But it's interesting to watch that the future of Tesla is being argued either to be completely dominant for all sorts of different forms of technology, and there's a lot of speculation out there, and the stock price is still very leveraging speculation in order to be overly inflated, in my opinion, for a car company that's got 3.5 factories, which is the bedrock of what the company is. So there's a lot of speculation in the market cap of Tesla right now, but regardless, Tesla's vacillation as a result of Elon Musk's rhetoric is a change in electric vehicles. So that has happened. And I don't really know what the final outcome will be, but it's going to be interesting to watch. Secondly, electric vehicle charging expansion will continue, and it will continue with private funds. The NEVI program's participation in the expansion of electric vehicle charging has always been, in my opinion, and I do weekly updates and I watch and I could actually see the NEVI stations come online. There's something a little bit over 50 NEVI stations, but man, there's so many charging stations getting put in by people with very deep pockets that NEVI is just a postscript. So the expansion of electric vehicle charging will continue, and the federal government, unless they forbid electric vehicle chargers getting put in, or some kind of I don't even know what they would do. Outside of some kind of forbidding commerce in the public marketplace of some kind, regulation or something coming out of the federal government, which doesn't seem likely in a Republican-controlled executive branch. It's going to continue to expand and expand at a very fast rate. And I actually consider 2025 is going to very likely be the fastest expansion of electric vehicle charging in the United States that this country has ever seen, and may very well ever see in the history of this country. This is just a massive explosion of electric vehicle charging going into the United States this year. There's is coming from multiple different points. So I actually think it'll actually start to slow down a little bit in 2026 and 2027, just because 2025 is going to be such a massive year. But who knows? It might continue to grow exponentially. I would like to say that political affiliation has been questioned, and this is a snapshot from my voter registration card. I am a lifelong Republican, have been ever since I started voting, and so there is that. There's a lot of people chiming in comments on my YouTube channel concerning electric vehicles and them being a Green New Deal and sort of thing, and I'll get to that in just a second. So, the future of EV adoption. There's been a couple of things recently put out that I think to be very centric and non-inflammatory. This is the American Center for Progress. It was a study put out in 2024, but still relevant. EVs cost significantly less to fuel and maintain than gas-powered vehicles. Fact. My personal opinion is electric vehicles increase the quality of life for Americans who own them because they're easier to maintain, they're quieter, they're more reliable, it's more convenient if you could fuel at home, and they're faster. So all these things combined just make electric vehicles very advantageous. The study goes on to say that on top of this, the average purchase price of the newly fully battery electric EVs is expected to decline nearly 25% over the next few years, from $40,300 in 2022 to about $30,800 by 2030. That's factoring in inflation. So that's a pretty significant decrease in costs with inflation still occurring in the you can't really stop it. Inflation can moderate and whatnot, but still $30,800 in 2030 for an electric vehicle is going to make this just a slam dunk. There's really no question light duty vehicle transportation will be electric in 2030, just as a raw economic household. You know, you're in a household and you want to save some money, buy an electric car and get the benefits of the electric car and save money. Is basically what's going to happen here. And then basically once that mass adoption occurs, it's game over. Mike Murphy, who's a Republican strategist, he heads what's known as the EV Politic Project. The EV Politic Project. This is a quote from a PBS interview, which I'll link down below in the description. I'll also link the American Center for Progress study down below in the description if anyone wants to go see that. The quote is, "The only thing they, being Republicans and Democrats, fight over is environmental impact." I would agree. Democrats tend to be more heavily focused on the environmental impact of electric vehicles and their benefits, so you got to do this in order to save the environment. And Republicans are like, okay, that's nice. But it's not a primary driving decision maker for the purchasing of electric vehicles, and that's the case for me. That is important to Democrats and an off-putting thing to Republicans. Now the price tag appeal, particularly in the used market for EVs, is overcoming some of that dogma. I agree. It's about price. Really, what's driving this is the price of batteries. And once batteries continue to fall in cost to manufacture, and electric vehicles end up costing less than their comparable internal combustion engine cars, it's really game over at that time. Why would you buy an internal combustion car that breaks down more, is more difficult to operate because you have to go to the gas station in order to fill it up, and it's loud and slow? Why would you do that? And it costs more. What doesn't make sense. I would also like to say that there's other YouTubers out there who are bringing into relief situations in the political sphere, two of which that I've recently watched. Jimsy's V Adventures did a perspective on electric vehicle adoption concerning national security and the concept of petroleum coming from sources that are contrary to the national security of the United States. And so electric vehicle adoption alleviates the need in order to maintain the shipping lanes through the Persian Gulf and also a few other places. He does a very good job of describing it. I'm going to link that video down below in the description. And just today, Transport Evolved News, a left-leaning outlet, dropped a video called "Elon Musk is Attempting a Coup," which goes into rather granular detail situations that are occurring in Washington. And so both those perspectives are worth a listen. I'll link both of them down below in the description. And thank you very much for watching.